Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a blind man named Jonas with his beautiful daughter, Sarah. Jonas was a humble and kind-hearted man who always had a smile on his face despite his disability. He had a unique habit of passing a message to anyone who helped him or gave him money. He would say, "Whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself." He would repeat this statement to the old, adult, young, and any other person who gave him anything. The villagers knew Jonas well and respected him for his wisdom and positivity. They often helped him and his daughter by providing them with food and clothes. Jonas was grateful to everyone who helped him and always repeated his message, reminding them that their kindness would come back to them. One day, while Jonas and Sarah were sitting near the village market, a group of soldiers passed by. They noticed the blind man and his daughter and stopped to ask if they needed any help. Jonas politely declined their offer, but the soldiers insisted and gave him some coins. Jonas thanked them and repeated his message. "Whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself." The soldiers were puzzled by his words and laughed it off. Later that day, Jonas and Sarah heard a commotion in the village. They heard that the king was visiting the town and would pass by the market. Jonas knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet the king, and he wanted to share his message with him. As the king approached, Jonas shouted, "Your Highness, whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself." The king was shocked by Jonas's words, and his members told him to collect the gift back, but the king refused and instead invited the blind man and his daughter to the palace. He promised them a special treat and asked them to come to the palace the next day. Jonas and Sarah were thrilled at the invitation and went to the palace the next day. The king welcomed them with open arms and served them with delicious food and drinks. Jonas thanked the king for his kindness and repeated his message, "Whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself." The king was impressed by Jonas's wisdom and invited him to stay in the palace for a few more days. On their way back home, Jonas and Sarah were overjoyed with the golden plate full of food that the king had given them. They were walking peacefully, enjoying the beautiful scenery, when suddenly they were stopped by a prince. The prince asked them where they got the golden plate from, but Jonas and Sarah had no idea what he was talking about. The prince didn't believe them and took the plate from them forcefully. Sarah was heartbroken, but Jonas remained calm and repeated his message. "Whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself." The prince laughed at Jonas's words and drove back to the palace. He was tired and hungry, and when he reached the palace, he opened the plate to eat the food. But to his horror, he found that the food was poisoned, and he died instantly. The king was devastated by his son's death and realized that he had wronged Jonas by doubting him. He and his members learned their lesson in a hard way from the blind man. Jonas and Sarah continued their journey back home, but this time their hearts were heavy with sorrow. Sarah couldn't stop crying, and Jonas held her tightly, trying to comfort her. As they walked, Jonas repeated his message. Whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself. But this time, the message had a more profound meaning for him. He realized that sometimes, even when things seem right, they might not be right for you. He knew that his soul had rejected the poisoned food, and it had warned him differently. Likewise, he paid attention to his feelings and emotions, and that had saved him and his daughter. The most painful tears are not the ones that fall from your eyes and cover your face. They're the ones that fall from your heart and cover your soul. Jonas had experienced those tears, and they had taught him a valuable lesson. He knew that he had to let go of the pain and move on, but he also knew that he would never forget the lessons he had learned. As they reached their home, Jonas and Sarah were welcomed by their neighbors, who had heard about their encounter with the prince. They were amazed by Jonas's wisdom and strength and offered to help him in any way they could. Jonas thanked them and shared his message. Whatever you do for me, you do it for yourself. His neighbors understood the meaning behind his words and were grateful for his wisdom. From that day on, Jonas and Sarah became a source of inspiration for the villagers. They learned to pay attention to their feelings and emotions and not force what they knew wasn't right. They understood the value of kindness and empathy and how it could change someone's life. Likewise, they respected Jonas for his positivity and wisdom and followed his example. Jonas continued to pass his message to anyone who helped him or gave him money. He knew that his words could have a profound impact on people's lives, and he wanted to spread the message of kindness and empathy. His daughter, Sarah, grew up to be a kind and compassionate person, just like her father. She learned to listen to her heart and follow her intuition, just like her father had taught her. In the end, Jonas's message became famous throughout the kingdom. People would often repeat it to each other, and it became a symbol of kindness and empathy. Jonas had left a lasting legacy, and his words had touched many lives. He had taught people to listen to their hearts and follow their intuition, and that had made all the difference. The moral of the story is that kindness and empathy can change someone's life. It's important to pay attention to our feelings and emotions and not force what we know isn't right. We should respect other people's beliefs and values, even if they're different from our own. We should always treat others the way we want to be treated and understand that whatever we do for someone else, we do it for ourselves. The story also teaches us that the most painful tears are not the ones that fall from our eyes, but the ones that fall from our heart and cover our soul. We should learn from our experiences and let go of the pain, but remember the lessons we've learned. Lastly, the story reminds us that even the simplest of words can have a profound impact on someone's life. Jonas's message of kindness and empathy became famous throughout the kingdom and touched many lives. It's a reminder that even small acts of kindness can make a big difference. The end. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos like this from this channel. Don't hesitate to drop your comments below. We love